Okay, you ready?
I am.
All right. Hey, what's up, America? Welcome to Goodnight America. I'm America's sweetheart, Eric Ryan. And you know what we do on this show? Not that I have to tell you, because it's the most important thing on the internet. But what we do is we interview the best and brightest authors that the planet has to offer. And today's no different. Let me talk to you about GiGi Meier. This is her bio. She retired from a 30-year career in corporate America to write romance novels about strong female characters and their complicated swoon-worthy men. She loves telling stories and figuring out why her characters do what they do. With heartbreaking angst, panty-dropping lust, and an enviable love, her stories linger long after you close the book. Welcome to the show.
Ooh, thanks for having me, Eric. Glad to be here.
Yeah, me too. I want to talk about panty-dropping lust. Okay, but this is an important distinction here. When I invited you on the show, I said I wanted to have you on to talk about romantasy. And you were like, hey, listen, this is a quote. You go, I am not a romantasy author. I write spicy revenge. I'm sorry, not revenge. I write spicy reverse age gap and dark romance. Think strong, successful women and their younger men who can't get enough of them with angst and steamy heat thrown in. Okay. So evidently women are very particular about their porn literature categories. Is this correct? Right off the bat, this is the sense I'm getting. We can't mislabel here, right?
Correct. You know, you want to represent the brand correctly. And so romance has a humongous umbrella, and there's all these subgenres and tropes underneath. And you have to have content warnings. So I'm a dark romance author. If you don't tell them exactly what's going to be in those books, you could have like triggering events or triggering conversations.
That's the trigger warning thing. I mean, that's way down on my list of questions, but it's right off the bat very fascinating to me because Pornhub, as far as I know, not that I've ever been, not today anyway, they don't have trigger warning. It's just like masturbatory material with trigger warnings. What is happening on the planet? Don't you know if you're reading one of these things that there's going to be some dark shit? Like this seems like the safe space thing, even in porn. All right. Whoa. Let's back up for a minute. Is this porn? Would you consider it porn?
No, not at all.
Okay, I'm not going to fight you on this, but I was like, because again, like I said in the green room, heterosexual middle-aged white guys this isn't our genre. We're typically not into this. No one's scoring any touchdowns here. But I just looked up. So pornography is generally defined as material that explicitly depicts sexual activity with the intent to arouse sexual desire. This doesn't fall into that, you don't think?
I don't think so. I think it's, romance. It's what women want. It's what we can't get out in the world. You take these 20-year-olds that are on all these dating apps and they're either swiping constantly, they're never getting picked, or if they do get picked, they're part of a roster. And so they're burnt out. They want the romance side as much as they want the sexual side. The sexual side and the reality of life comes easily. The romance and the commitment and the intimacy that we crave does not.
So you're saying getting laid is easy, but the stimulation of the brain, that's the hard part? That's what chicks aren't getting these days?
100%.
Is that because men are morons? So we said before we got on the thing, men don't read. That's a problem, isn't it?
Men don't read romance. 80% of romance is read by women.
No, men don't read in general, don't you think? I mean, I think most book buyers are women. I don't have the numbers, but I think that's borne out.
I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah, they're too busy watching sports or scrolling or, their other interest.
You know what our other interests are? I looked this up. Porn. You're never going to believe this. Listen to these numbers. I looked up Pornhub's daily visits. Would you like to guess how many visits Pornhub gets in a day?
I guess millions?
100 million daily visits. There's only 300 million Americans, which means that at any point in the day, a third of us are on Pornhub. And then you go, well, that's a lot. But I mean, yes, it is. Just think about this though. Pornhub is that's one porn website. Do you know how many porn sites there are? This is mind blowing.
Dozens?
42 million. There's 42 million porn sites. At any given time, 100 million people are on Pornhub. So you know why we're not reading?
Because you're over there on Pornhub.
We're constantly masturbating. When are we gonna pick up a book? What? Okay, this is the other thing too. This fascinates me because I think this romantasy, okay, I suppose it's not porn, but it is meant to stimulate. Correct?
Of course.
At the end of Slaughterhouse-5, I wasn't like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. But I think to some degree, women, mental stimulation leads to physical stimulation, right?
100%.
So this is sort of masturbatory material, and this is how I can bear this out. It's booming right now, the sex toy market. It was $24 billion in 2024. And listen, That's mostly women. There are not a lot of male sex toys. There just aren't. Much to my chagrin. I wish somebody would figure it out. They estimate that the sex toy market's going to go to $59 billion by 2034, and romance novels are the #1 best-selling new genre. It was up 52% in 2023. It is a $1.44 billion industry. So
I can believe it.
I think the men are on porn sites, the women are going and buying sex toys, and they're reading romance novels. Does this make any? Am I generally right here? Do you think?
I think so. Let's be honest. We can pick the boyfriend that we want. We can experience the dream. We can play with our toys, and then we're done. We can roll over. We can do whatever we want. We can like eat in our beds alone. I mean, it's just so much easier. And let's be honest, there's not everybody is good in the bedroom. Sometimes you need.
I've heard that too. I've heard men are very bad at sex. It seems to. I think we're just jackhammering away because that's what they do in Pornhub, and that's what I guess we're into.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like art imitates life. That can be very true.
Well, I think it's one of those things, and this would be a weird class to have, but there's no sex class. You know, there is sex class, though. This is how babies are made, but no one goes here. This is how you have good sex. All we have is what we see on, on the 42 million porn sites that are on the internet. Listen, I don't want to victim blame because I'm very sorry we're bad at this. And I'm just speaking like at a high level for my people.
Oh, no. But I mean, think about it. Nobody wants feedback. Nobody wants like constructive criticism about their performance. And so that's why we remain mediocre or average or, but when you get the right partner and they have experience or they are really good at it, it is mind blowing. And then you can never go back. And then you hit the next person. They're not mind blowing. You're like, okay, back to my romance novels and my sex toys.
Yeah. You go, that sex was so bad. I'm going to go read a book. That's how bad that sex was.
I will finish literature.
I do. So I do find some of this conceptually interesting from a woman's point of view. You know that book that's Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus?
Yes.
You're familiar with this work? I don't think it doesn't do the difference justice because all it's suggesting is that we're very different. We're from very different planets. But I think a better title would be Men Watch Pornhub and Women Read Romantasy, because like at no point have I ever watched porn for the plot. You guys are in it almost exclusively for the plot. You know? That's fascinating to me.
Of course, like you said a moment ago, you guys are visual stimulators, but we're mental. And then also to add to that, Eric, how you treat us is a determining factor of what happens in the bedroom. If you're not nice to us during the day, nothing happens in the bedroom. And I'm sure that you've heard that or you know it from experience. This is how it is. I'm
25 years into a marriage. Nothing works. Nothing matters. The waters are so muddy. Everyone wants to pretend, we're binary absolutists. So you do the dishes, you're going to get laid. 0%. It doesn't fucking matter. At some point, it stops mattering. This is the other thing, too, is women are like, we're very easy to unlock. You just got to, no, because you're always moving the goalposts. I get it. I get it. This is what's weird to me, though, with these, maybe yours fit in this too, because let's just cover what you write. You write reverse age gap, because I guess traditional age gap is what Bill Belichick is doing right now, which is he's like, what is he? I have the numbers. He's 100 years old and he's dating a 24-year-old.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's a traditional age gap, but reverse age gap is obviously women of a certain age going after young men. That's correct.
Correct. And you're seeing it more and more, right? Baby Girl came out. There's the Anne Hathaway movie. You see Cher dating younger. Madonna's dating younger. Let's be honest, the monarchy, kings, athletes, politicians, they've been doing it for centuries. It's about time that we have some equality. And we're at our sexual peak in our 40s and 50s. And that's what we need is younger men a lot of time to satisfy that need. They can go multiple rounds, their stamina, etc. You don't get that when you date your age.
What? Okay. So old men are not only bad at sex, but they can't even do it more than once in a fortnight. How it's just, they're useless.
I mean, if you have a young one, sometimes they can go 3-4 rounds, in a night or night the next day. And then usually men in their 40s and 50s can't, or they have to have a little pill to help.
Yeah. So the young guys, it's bad sex, but it's voluminous. That's not, so it's bad.
Oh, let me stop you right there, Eric. It is not always bad sex, because you said 100 million men are going out to Pornhub. They're watching, they're studying. So this new generation, or the younger ones, they do their homework, let's say.
Oh, so Gen Z or whatever it is. What are we on now? I can't keep track.
I don't know. Are we in millennials? Z's?
No, millennials are old now. Millennials are bad at sex. It must be the other ones.
Obviously.
Obviously. Listen, I haven't had the pleasure of having sex with a millennial man or a Gen Z. I just, so I don't know firsthand, but you're telling me this is interesting. So this was another one of my genius questions. I would imagine if you're writing about a kink, it kind of has to be your kink. Otherwise it's, you can't write about war having not gone to war. So you're into young men, I assume?
Yeah, I do date all ages for different reasons, right? When I want to have something that's more fun, light, easy, not a whole lot of commitment, then yeah, younger is so much easier. We're on the same level. I don't want to get married. They don't want to get married. They don't want to have kids. Same. I've already, I'm raising children. So a lot of times you find similar interest in younger. They're just more fun. They want to do stuff. I don't want to go to dinner every single date. I want to go out. I want to go to a shooting range, or I want to go to Topgolf, etc.
And old guys don't like that.
I think as we age, and I can say this because I am older, we get settled in our ways and we're not as adventurous, which is tragic because what are we waiting for? The nursing home?
That's a good point. So if you're going after young men, you're competing with young women. Is there a sugar mama aspect to this? Like, what do you got to bring something, no, just let's talk as people here. You got to bring something extra, I would assume, because like let's say you're an older, hot, fun chick. You're also dealing with young, hot, fun chicks. So is there an Oedipus thing or a sugar mama thing, or what's the extra spin you're putting on the ball to get these young guys interested?
I'm sure that exists. Personally, no. I think what I attract is there's like an emotional maturity. There's no judgment. We can talk about anything. They're saying the conversations are richer. They can come to you with their problems, and it's not overlaid where the younger women, I've heard, this is just feedback I get, they hijack the conversation to make it about them and then overlay all their problems onto the guy. And, we don't do that. We're in a totally different spot in life. We've been through some stuff. We have the scars. We have the war wounds from divorce or, things that didn't turn out the way we wanted to in life. And so we bring a different perspective.
What's the sweet spot, the age range for the cougar? What's the, do you guys discuss? Do you have a cougar club? And then do a bunch of cougars get together and compare notes? And if they do, what's the ideal range for these young men? And how old is too old?
Okay. So I have a dinner party and we're called Cougars, Cubs, and Gays.
Fucking knew it. I knew it. I could feel it. Okay. So you get together and then you're like, how young? What's the range? What's good here? They're going to be over than 21 because you don't want to go to Chuck E. Cheese, I would imagine.
You would be so surprised at how many 18, 19, 20-year-olds are going after. They have no limit. And you find them on, like on dating apps. You would die, Eric, if I were to pull up my dating app and just show you the volume of likes in an age category. Like if I separated out for like those that are, I don't know, let's say 18 to 35, which I would never date 18. Oh my gosh. But it'll be hundreds and hundreds of likes. If I try to change that dating app to like my age, it'll be maybe like 20.
This is some beautiful mommy issue shit we have going on right now. I would think, again, I'm 44. I've been with the same chick for 25 years. But if I was single, I would think I couldn't date anyone that never owned a CD. Don't you think that's a healthy cutoff? Like, unless you went to a Tower Records, you know what I mean? Or went to the mall and bought a CD. I think that would be my cutoff. What else? What are we going to talk about?
Okay, so I'm built a little bit different in that I love to know things that I don't know. I want to know how they think, what are their experiences are, what are the problems that run around their mind, right? Like I already know all my opinions about everything. We can talk about, I don't know, the economy. We can talk about the Fed rates. We can talk about Trump. I already know all that. I know what I want to think. I have opinions about it. I can just vomit those out on people. I don't care. I want to hear their perspective on life. They're at the beginning of their careers. It's usually like this fresh, young energy that we've kind of gotten stale or stodgy, or like you said, no, I commend you for 25 years married to the same woman. Congratulations.
It's nothing to celebrate, but go ahead.
But sometimes you want a freshness, right? You just want a different perspective. You guys have had every conversation that you could possibly have had, and then some. Yeah. Sometimes you just want to hear a different perspective, version, outlook on life. Their prism to how they view life and how they were raised is so different because they are the generation that was raised only with the internet, always with devices, etc. Totally different thought process.
I mean this in the nicest way possible. I love this double standard. I love it. I like a lot of double standards, but here's a couple that I find fascinating. And this is a new one that's entering my lexicon. But the one I think about all the time is in today's zeitgeist, you could never say something to the effect of, oh, I would never date a black guy, or I would never date an Asian girl. The one thing women can say is I would never date a short guy. And all women are like, yes, yeah, that is gross. Aww. I hate short. That is fucking awful. And everybody goes, yeah, no, absolutely. And listen, I'm not short. I don't have a dog in this race, but I just think it's interesting. That's an interesting double standard. This is another one where if these roles were reversed and I go, oh, old chicks are so boring. They talk about the same shit. They're bad at sex. They don't like to do anything. And that's why I like going after 18-year-olds. I would get arrested, and I should, but I love that you're allowed to do that because there's enough double standards that favor, the hierarchy and the patriarchy. So you should have a few too.
Of course. It's just leveling the playing field. But I'll tell you something that's interesting. We talked about numbers a minute ago about how much interest I get from the younger ones, 35 and below. I have a lot of interest that men are probably 60 to 80. A lot. So it's interesting to me to see kind of the metrics on my dating app. Everyone wants to date younger. And when I reach out to these older men and just have a conversation, it's the vitality. Everybody wants to feel young again. Everybody wants that energy, right? Nobody wants to age. And that doesn't follow a gender line. That's all of us. You wake up one day, you're 40, 50, 60, you name the number, and you're like, where did my life go? How did it go by so fast? And so I feel like dating younger, both for male and female, is energy and vitality we're all still looking for. We're not dead yet.
Oh, I love it. So when you date these guys, they know what they're in it for. You know what they're in it for. How long does the thing last before it just sort of atrophies and you're like, all right, listen, you go on to your next cougar. I'm going to go on to my next cub. Is it a 3-month cycle? How does this work?
I think it just depends on chemistry and compatibility. That's the same attraction that exists at any age. And so I have been dating someone for the last 10 months. Significantly younger than me. I will not say his age because you guys would die if you heard.
Can you give me a range?
In his 20s.
Oh, so he's not in high school right now. He's not. He's not going in.
No. We have to be legal. But I do have a friend in the Cougars, Cubs, and Gays category, and so she's our dinner party. She's been dating someone for 3 years.
I'm sorry, Cougar, Cubs, and Gays.
Yes.
I got too excited. I didn't hear in the gays part. Why do they get to come to the table? Shouldn't they have a separate? I'm not judging. I'm just saying, Cougar, Cubs, and gays.
Oh my gosh, we're such a fun group. So
sounds tremendous. I know I'm not invited because I'm none of those things, but I just throwing the gays in at the end. That's fun.
We have like honored guests that we bring along, and so I've brought along many friends. But yeah, my gay guys are hilarious. They'll hype you up. Oh. They're like girl queen. It's such a great fun energy. It's so positive. And then my sister is a lesbian, so sometimes I'll bring her and her wife out with us too. So
gays and lesbians traditionally don't get along, I've heard. There's a war within that community, which I find fascinating.
There is a stereotype there, yes.
Yeah. I love that you're having a party, Cougars, Cubs, and gays, and I'm not allowed. I am the problem, right? I am the exact opposite of what anybody wants there.
Okay, so when we go to a dinner party, which in Houston, if you ever know Steak 48 or Mastrov's, that's where a lot of the younger age gap or reverse age gap happens in real life. And so if you see someone, your gay boys are going to be hyping you up like, girl, you should go over there and talk to him. Ooh, look at that one.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
The reason we live in this town is because my wife worked with a gay fella in him and his husband. They suggested we look here. So we had gay friends. I love gay friends, but they moved away and now I have no gay friends. And it's a gap in my friends group. So I don't know. I don't know if there's an app for gay friends, but I would love it. I mean, I think they're delightful. I just think it's fascinating that you guys should be getting together and talking shit about us, because most of the spaces are kind of ours.
Okay. To be honest, I know I have like two of the guys that are the most repetitive in the group that show up to the dinner parties. They're very flamboyant, but yeah, they do bash on the hygiene. So sometimes, we'll talk about hygiene and how men are after a date or after you do go out and see them or spend time with them. And so the hygiene level of men, hetero men, comes up often.
This is why I don't understand why
the teeth.
How every chick's not a lesbian blows my mind because men are fucking disgusting. We are objectively fucking disgusting. So The first woman to give a blowjob was very brave. Very brave. Like everyone's, oh, who's the first guy to eat a lobster? No. Fuck that guy. Which is so gross. And here's the thing too, like when people see my hair, people assume I'm gay because it looks like I put effort into hygiene, and they're like, that is so gay. Yeah, I guess. But I don't know.
Okay. But at the same time, so the Cubs in the group, the Cougars and Cubs don't date each other, but they have, a propensity that they want to date an older woman. And so we give them the confidence of like what to say and what the conversations are, and conversation starters if you're going over to the bar before your table's ready, etc.
Interesting.
That's like coaching them up.
You sort of answered a question of mine, which is, all right, so you want Paulo over here, or this guy? Who's this guy? Oh, look at Marco, ripped out of his goddamn mind. What about this? Christmas romance. Christmas is the horniest of the holidays, according to Hallmark movies.
Of course.
So you sort of answered this question. You want a hot young guy, and I think we all probably want hot young pretty things, regardless of sexual orientation. But then I was like, you also want a stimulating conversation, because that's a lot to ask. And then you were saying, no, you just want them to talk about whatever the fuck's going on in their life. That's a more healthy way to look at this thing, because to want a hot young genius, what do you want? You want Matt Damon? You want Good Will Hunting? Is that what you're looking for? That one fucking guy? You know why they made a movie about it? Because it's special. Also, it's fake. So it seems healthy that you're like, hey, you're not looking for a worldview. You don't want to talk about politics or the economy or religion or philosophy or anything. You just want to talk about TikTok and get laid. That's a healthy outlook, isn't it?
Okay, yeah, I'll give you an example. I have a friend who he is male and he dates younger, and he has the resume you wouldn't believe. He's a litigator, all these accolades on his, and he loves really bimbo women. Like, and I was like, you're so brilliant. What do you talk to her about? And it's always like bleach blonde, huge boobs, the nails, everything is, half fake. And he goes, that's the whole point. She will talk to me about the nail color polish that she picked at the nail salon for 10 minutes. He said, it's wonderful. I don't have to think. She doesn't want anything from me. She doesn't want to get all through my brain, talk about all my cases or, what we're litigating. He's like, it's a break from my reality, from my everyday life. And he's been with her now 6 years. And I'm telling you, loves her. But she looks about as fake as they come. But and he's as straight-laced as you can be, but their relationship is as pure and genuine as possible. And it's beautiful.
I think it's complicated because when I ask myself, if I dated a younger woman, what would we talk about? Then I have to remind myself, I don't give a shit. I'm not in it for the conversation, So I think that's one of those things. So
I think you have to be mentally stimulated, and that comes in all different sites of forms and fashions for people, right? There's no one way. Not everybody wants to talk about Russian literature or talk about theology.
Yeah. And as I was making the case about you want a Good Will Hunting, it turns out if I'm thinking about it, I kind of want Good Will Hunting just without a penis, a hot chick, a Good Will Hunting. So yeah, I'm just as delusional as anybody else.
Okay. Minnie Driver in that movie, she was hot.
Oh, absolutely. I got to date a Harvard chick, but they don't want me. I'm fucking gross. Male hygiene's disgusting. All right. So the way that this romantasy porn literature thing came into my life is a friend of my wife's would always post this shit about what she's reading. And it was never, Mein Kampf or Slaughterhouse-Five. It was always stuff like A Court of Thorns and Roses or Onyx Storm or Zodiac Academy. And I was like, what the fuck is this? So I looked it up, and then it's clearly this porn literature. And then I started thinking, is that not the same as if I was like, hey guys, I just watched, White Men Can't Hump or Schindler's Fist, or whatever, Girls Gone Wild, Volume 19. And they're like, there seems to be this weird gap between chicks saying, I'm reading this shit. It's dirty. There's explicit sex in these books, correct?
It ranges. Akatar, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses. I've read the whole series, obviously, because Sarah Maas is like the queen, and she's so talented. But that book, if you've seen them, they're thick. There's lots of adventure. There's lots of action, plot, story, romance. So it's far more than just the title that the label you're giving it. It's a lot of things to women. Sure.
You know what I've discovered? It's Dungeons and Dragons, but instead of 20-sided dice, you use a vibrator. And this is how I know. Listen, can we go over some of these categories? Because you've read the book, so this is beautiful. I was hoping that you had, because I have questions about this.
Do you know those are based on actual like retellings of Cinderella?
Well, listen, we're all out of new ideas, so all we're doing is rehashing Grimm's fairy tales with sex at this point. So I asked ChatGPT for the best or the most popular romantasy subgenres and categories. Number one, fae and magical royalty. Am I pronouncing fae correct? Is that like
Yep,
fairy?
you are correct.
So it
That's
said,
what Akatar is.
Yep. So it said Court of Thrones and Roses style love triangles, high court drama, magical politics, and sexy fae princes. That sounds about right.
That's perfect.
That's some Dungeons and Dragons shit. Then there's lovers to enemies or enemies to lovers with magic, protagonists on opposite sides of magical wars or prophecies.
Mhm.
There's witchy romance, which is witches and warlocks navigating forbidden love. I guess witches and warlocks can't. Romeo and Juliet style. Is that what we're dealing with here?
Well, look at Twilight, vampires and werewolf. Look how much that franchise made.
Yeah, right. That's totally normal. Dark fantasy romance, morally gray love interests. Think Shadow Kings, Death Gods, or Assassins.
Yeah, mafia, cartel.
Reverse harem / why choose. One female protagonist with multiple magical love interests. No need to pick one. She gets them all. I'm down with it. You reverse that. That's fantastic. Because listen, my kinks are very pedestrian, unfortunately. You know, like threesomes and amateur lesbian. As you know,
Okay,
I wish they were more interesting.
How many Middle East kings or the crown? Well, the Saudi family. How many women do they have? How many wives do they have? So that harem still exists today.
You just want a room full of penises. No, I get it. Monster romance, non-human love interests. This is where I'm right. Dragons, demons, minotaurs, even kraken. How do you fuck a kraken? What's happening here? What do you? Okay. Mythology-based romantasy inspired by Greek, Norse, or Egyptian myths. That's fine, I guess. Just a few more I want to get your opinion on. Time travel or portal fantasy. A modern woman is transported to a magical world. That's a genre. Magical academies and training grounds. This is like Harry Potter with sex, I would imagine. Like a kinky wizard college. Is that what's happening?
Yes.
Villain romance. The bad guy gets the girl, and maybe he's not so bad after all. This is, you guys like the bad boys. You think you can change them, but all they end up doing is more meth and getting a neck tattoo. I don't know why you're obsessed with this idea. Spicy fairy tale retellings, like you said, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and then shifter romance. This is characters that shift into wolves, dragons, bears, or just sexier versions. That borders on a little bestiality thing going on, huh? Women are
There's a wide variety. Like I told you, under the umbrella of romance, there is something for everybody, and that's what's so great about it.
So I say all of this to say this. This is my grand unifying theory about women here. Do you want to hear it?
Oh, lay it on me, Eric.
I will. Thick and quick. I think women are okay. You have to balance this with the male fantasy, which is just give me 30 seconds of some good shit. I'm out. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Women want what would appear to be now. Our 30 seconds is probably unattainable, probably, but your fantasies are definitely unattainable. And I think that there's none of this is ever going to happen. It's pure fantasy, which it goes back to that thing about when women complain, the problem with communication styles is that men want to offer a solution. We want to fix the problem. And then you get frustrated because you just want to vent. I think that's because women take a little bit of pleasure in being dissatisfied. Whereas men just want to, i.e. with the porn, you like it, you whack off, you move on. Chicks need to live in this fantasy world where they're never quite satisfied because you're never going to bang a guy that rides a dragon. It's never going to happen. So you get to live in this period of like pleasure and pain, satisfaction, but dissatisfaction. The reason why when you vent and we try to solve the problem and you don't want that problem being solved is because you get to squeeze some more dissatisfaction out of it, which pleases you in a sort of illogical way. But it's born out. How else do you describe childbirth? You guys are masochists, I think, at some core level. So even in your wildest fantasies can never come true. I think there's something there. What do you think?
I disagree. We want to be heard. There are so many times where, like you said, the patriarch has eliminated the voice of women. And we've always been told, to sit in the back seat or, the feminist movement has really been coming like in the last 50, 60 years. But that's the thing is we want to be heard. We don't need someone to swoop in and solve our problems. We can solve our problems ourselves. Let's be honest. That's why we're in such a critical mass where women are not getting married because we provide everything we need to. We don't have this dependency on men. And so we want to be heard. We don't need you to fix it. And so in our book boyfriends, they are heard. These, we can fall into an experience where we're heard, we're seen, we're recognized. We don't have to fight for your attraction. We don't have to turn ourselves inside out to be the perfect girl and then find out we're on a roster of 1 of 6.
Yeah.
And that
so you just want, you want a loyal werewolf that'll listen to your problems. That's totally reasonable and logical.
I think we want a loyal love of our life. And then sometimes you can't find it. So you retreat into escapism and then you go into a book. But I mean, doesn't everybody? Why do y'all watch sports? Why do you go out to Pornhub? Because you're looking for something that you don't have. You're looking to fulfill something in you. And that could be as vapid as just like, hey, I want that 30 seconds to get off and then I'm on to other things. Or it could be like, I will sit and watch 4 hours of golf, the Masters on a Sunday, or I'll sit and watch the draft for 3 days. It's similar, but just coming from different places.
Yeah. It's wild, the two of us, and then we're bound to try to sleep with each other for all of eternity. That's bizarre, don't you think? Whoever set this up, why? Why did you do it this way?
So Eric, you're married and I'm not. So you have to answer that question.
Yeah, but you were, right?
I were, yeah, I was.
I did my research. You know what's weird? So I know that you say it's not porn, but I would imagine that some women, like you've written a lot of books. Yes, how many books? 12 or something? How many?
Oh, yeah, I just finished my 13th is coming out next month.
See, research. You've written 13 books. Women are reading these books. They are probably masturbating afterwards, which means that you have gotten more women off in your lifetime than I ever have. That's interesting, isn't it?
Good for me. Good for them.
Do you find that conceptually interesting, though, that sort of your job now is to get chicks off?
If I can help support their sexual health, sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a bad way to live. Your presence on Earth has provided sort of at this point exponential joy. That's not what a lot of, B2B assholes do.
But I mean, isn't that the thing? Like we want a women supporting women, and that comes in all sorts of different ways. You have women that come on here and they give like career advice. They give like dating aspects. So yeah, I write steamy, naughty fun that can get them off or can give them an experience that they want to experience. They want to replicate with their significant other. So good for me. Good for them.
Please, that was not a critique. That was a compliment. I wish I had your powers.
And to be honest, Eric, like what I write is not the end of the spectrum. In romance, you can go anywhere from like closed door, like, which is a hallmark. They kiss, the door closes you, and then the next, skip to the next day or whatever. But there's also some that are like jet black. And so it is your BDSM, or it is your erotica, or it is your wide shoes or reverse harem, etc. Mm-hmm.
So how dark is yours on a spectrum from the door closes, they wake up the next morning to gratuitous descriptions of fluids and penetration? Where are we on the scale?
I'm probably, definitely in the gray zone. And the reason why is because will I write a 5,000 words sex scene? You bet. Will I get in depth and descriptive and the whole feelings and all that? You bet. I don't shy away from that. Is it always different for each one of my couples? Yeah, because people are different, what they like and don't like. So do I have a kink and trope spreadsheet to make sure that I'm writing the most accurate? Yes.
Nice. And my other question was an editor. So does an editor ever go, you know what? I think right in the middle, you throw in a blowjob. Like do they ever instruct you on the sexual? Because someone's reading this book.
All of it gets edited. All of it. So, and it's a good question because I've had team members that I brought on that they did not necessarily like my writing style. They didn't like how in depth I went. And so I've had to change members of my team because we weren't a right fit. Maybe they're used to doing the more pink, which is the closed door and the clean, sweet romance. And then they come over and read mine. We're not a good fit. And so I need people on my team that believe in my body of work. Right. And that will be like, hey, you have 3 hands in play here. People only have 2. Okay. So we're not writing monster or alien or all that, shifter where they may have other limbs.
Oh. Is that why they write about krakens? Because there's tentacles and there's more shit to write about? That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Mermans.
No, well,
sometimes there's, more parts on a man.
Does a merman have where do we know? Have you read a merman? Like, where's the thing? He's fucking the bottom half is a fish. Is it in there somewhere?
It does slide back. Yeah. All that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll go to the library today. I'll educate myself. You don't have to. Do you find your books getting darker and more intense as you're writing more?
Oh, so my dark series is super intense. So if you were to read, that's the Canyon series. So right now you have my Cougars and Cubs series. That's Bikers of Boston.
Yeah.
But my Canyon series is all jet black. And there are some really troubling scenes in there. There is one in Isla's book. She's the one that had the clown. I don't know if you saw that one on my website. But she has a very traumatic scene because not only was she assaulted by mom's boyfriends, which is a very common thing, unfortunately, that women have to deal with in life. She then was a runaway exploited minor. So got her, was in the same situation. And that one has a lot of domestic violence in it because domestic violence survivors tend to fall to the same cycle over and over again. So I did reach out to some domestic violence survivors. I did research. When I wrote it, I had 2 sensitivity readers that had been through that. And I asked them to read it also to see if it's like really on point. I did my research and reflected the story correctly. And so that has a couple very difficult scenes in it. So that's super dark. And that's why we have content warnings, because I don't want people to go in blind in that series. And then my in-depth 5,000 word scene causes some sort of additional trauma that they've already overcome.
But they're going in knowing that they're skating some sort of fine line, which is fascinating to me. Before I get to the next thing, though, the Biker Series of Boston, I own a bicycle and I'm about an hour outside of Boston. Do you think I could join the gang?
No, we're talking about straight bikes. And no offense, Eric, you're a little bit out of the range.
Too young, you're saying? That's fine. That's fine. This is another one of your books, Coyote. This involves sex trafficking and then predators becoming prey or prey. So there's a dark. This is why I don't think men will really ever understand women, because I would never conceive of a porn literature book delving into this topic. It's fucking fascinating.
Well, it's why we watch TV crime for pleasure.
It's right.
And then you guys look at us like, what in the world? Yeah, I mean, you can have most any woman that's watched enough of those can plot the perfect murder and get away with it.
Huh. Please don't kill me. So this goes to my general. I mean, it's book related, but it's not the whole Me Too thing. And I think that the pendulum has sort of swung back a little bit. We're not as intense as we were. But that was a little so. Aziz Ansari, are you familiar with the comedian Aziz Ansari?
Lightly, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no huge fan or anything, but he got caught up in the Me Too movement. And if you read the long form Rolling Stone article that was written about his thing, he was clearly, in my estimation at least, playing a sort of cat and mouse game, the traditional cat and mouse game with the woman. Like, she doesn't want to be, but she does, and she wants to be seduced. And then as soon as he sniffed out that it might not be going the way he thought, he wasn't the game they were playing, he immediately called her an Uber. But in her mind, it had gone, like there was no physical contact or anything like that, but just he thought there was a flirting. He misread the flirting to some degree. And once again, to his credit, and they do the screenshots of the thing, once he sniffed it out, got her an Uber, got out of there. It was too late because we're in the height of the Me Too movement, and he got wrapped up and lost his TV show and everything else. Is the strong, assertive male, does he live in the fantasy world? And that's kind of where you want him to stay, because there was major pushback about, like, what do you want us to do? And I know this is sort of a stupid question because it's person and place specific, but these men tend to be a certain kind of man: assertive, aggressive, hardcore sex. They're not printing out consent forms before they're going after you. So, but that in popular zeitgeist, the opposite of that seemed to be very in vogue for a while. And there seems to be now some pushback against that. So speak for all women here and just explain to every man what you want.
Well, in fantasy, it works really well because we have, with the feminist movement, I grew up on the backs of those that went before me. And so my mom could only have ever been a nurse, a teacher, or a secretary. So she didn't have the opportunities that were afforded to me. I've moved forward. And so now we're to the generation that they can be completely equal. Are we paid equal? Well, no, not necessarily. But at the same time, we don't, like I said to you, we now have careers, we own our own homes, we have, master's and higher degree education. So the need for men to provide, but to put food on the table, it doesn't exist anymore because we're able to do it. So while we're out there going out and being girl bosses or badasses, there's still an element that, we want to come home and we want to have a man that supports us, but also at the same time, it's primal. Yeah, we do want to be dominated. We do want that aggression, but do we want it in the workplace? Do we want it in our regular life? Heck no. We've had to fight that, and our mothers have had to fight that. Our grandmothers have had to fight that. We don't want it there. But if it works for you in a relationship behind closed doors, however, then there's no judgment there, because that's what you need, because you're too busy being a badass out there. You want someone to take over the bedroom. That's why the Dom sub works so well, because sometimes you want to be able to submit to someone in a loving, trusting environment. But that is a privilege, and that has to be earned. And that is a whole different conversation to have. That's a big journey.
See, that's complicated. That's why we watch The Draft for 3 days and drink ourselves stupid. You described one of the characters in your book as Alpha Soft Dom. What is that exactly? And what are the other categories?
Okay, so Alpha Soft Dom, that is Giovanni. And so he is very caring, but in the bedroom, he's going to call the shots. She doesn't have to worry about anything. He keeps her in that headspace where she can just receive. And she's the one that doesn't have to worry about, oh, are we doing this position? What comes next? All that. He is in total control. But after that is all done and played out, he's also the one that's turning on the shower, coming and getting her, washing her hair in the shower, that kind of thing, right? The aftercare piece, which is as critical as if you're going to play hard, you also need to recover hard.
All right. All right. So that's an Alpha Soft Dom. What's above or below that? What other category do we have? You don't have to do them all, but there's got to be a beta hard sub.
Oh, I don't write a whole lot of BDSM. I haven't gotten into that. I should, though, because that's always like a fun trope, and it's a fun genre to experience, but I don't have any of those yet.
Do you think so? I think there's this trope in the zeitgeist where chicks are always like, I'll start an OnlyFans, but I'm just going to do feet because I'm okay with that. It all starts with feet, and then it gets into full gangbangs. And I think you're 13 books deep here. I think by the time you're 130 deep, it's going to be some real dark BDSM shit. Don't you think?
I don't know. I don't know if I'll go there, because every character and couple tell me what they want. I think what I'll do next is like a candy series where it's like men and candy and probably like one night stands. So like a destination thing, because that happens all the time. We've all been to a destination wedding where everybody is all hooking up and they never see each other again, especially like if it's like Europe or the Caribbean. That always happens. I do want to go back to my dark roots. So I really liked writing that, like Coyote that you have on here. So it's a cartel kidnap romance. So I love that kind of stuff. It gets pretty gory on the details. And so when I write, if I can write a 5,000 word sex scene, then I can easily write a 5,000 word beat or torture or that kind of thing. And so I'll probably return back to my dark romance after Bikers of Boston is done, because I want to write a Greek mythology retelling in Russian mafia. So what that means is like Hades and Persephone. I want to take their story, but put it into Russian mafia, which is called Bratva.
Lordy sweet Jesus. The Bikers of Boston, do they have Boston accents? Are they really into the Patriots? And no?
No, they're not. But that is some good tips, Eric. Okay, what I'm going to do is, as I write this next one, I'm writing the third book in the series. I'm going to reach out to you and be like, hey, tell me some Boston stuff.
I will. Everyone has to wear one of those stupid scally caps. Those things that's big in Boston. When you write a 5,000 word sex scene, are you exhausted at the end? Are you turned on at the end? Are you turned on and exhausted at the end? Is it strictly work? Like, does it affect you? Do you ever write some shit and go, oh man, that's hot?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're all human, right? We get turned on by different things. So yeah.
And then
and some of it, I know I'm gonna break the mystique about this. Some of it is logistically formula, right? How much is them touching, his emotions, her emotions, his body response, her body response, right? So it's like 5 different things you have to always consider when you're writing a scene. And then you also have the 6 is probably banter, right? Like some couples have a lot more banter, some don't. Some it's all the men talking, some it's both of them, some it's the women. So
that's an interesting point. When I read some of the snippets that you have on your social media, you write from both perspectives. Yes, you write from the man. That was confusing because again, my kink is 2 chicks, like every guy in the fucking planet. But then it's sometimes you were talking about the chick, and I was like, oh shit, this is hot. They're about to have a 3, and I know it's the fucking guy's perspective. So, do you ever read this kind of genre written by a man and go, this is dog shit? This is not how women think.
I have read, okay, let's be honest. There's not a whole lot of men that are writing romance.
Right.
I mean, there's very, very few. Sometimes they get it right. It just depends on that particular person. I think that women tend to be a lot more in the details. I'm definitely very verbose. I'm super wordy.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you deep dive on every aspect of my book because I just can't do it any other way. But I think that's why women like multiple points of view, because we don't get in your head, right? What's reflective of life is if we wrote in single point of view, which is like we only know what we know, which is flawed. But man, if I can get in like Eric's head and dig around there and understand what's going on with him, we love that. It makes so much sense.
It's mostly bourbon, football, and hairspray. Just so you know.
I heard porn too. 1/3 or
lots of porn.
1/3 of American men go out to Pornhub.
Every day. And keep in mind, that's one of 42 million porn websites. That's just the most popular one. You know? Fucking crazy, isn't it? Okay, so your boyfriend at 10 months here. This seems like it's going to be winding down because he's aging out of the system. He's going to get too old. You're going to have to dump him. Do you ever write some shit and go, hey, listen, they're, what's his name? One of these modern names, Jaden, Caden, Layden. Do you want to try some of the shit I just wrote? Do you ever bring art into the bedroom?
Does art replicate life? Yes.
With your boyfriend, do you ever write some shit and go, fucking this guy? Oh, wait, hold on. Let's pull up Marco. Marco does some shit to whoever, and you're like, and you're writing this, and you're like, I want to do this, and then you you invite the boyfriend over. He comes over on his tricycle, and then you try to, because he can't, he's not old enough to drive, and then you work out the fantasies. Do you ever write some shit and then do some shit with your boyfriends based on the shit you wrote?
Eric, you have to. There's logistics involved. How does that work? You want to write authentic, real stuff, and so sometimes you'll pick a angle or position, you're like, this actually doesn't work the way I wrote it.
He's a lucky guy for he's peaked at 14, and that's just wow, that's a hell of a way to go.
Oh, gross. Everybody is illegal and above board.
Well, you're in Texas. What's the age of consent? Pretty low, I think, down there.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Do you know that Pornhub is banned in Texas? Do you know that you have to actually create an account and log in?
What a barrier to enter your birthday into a website.
No, you have to. I think that one you have to actually create an account. So no, it's very, very conservative here in Texas.
Everybody has 50 guns on their hip, but you can't get into a porn website. Oh, God bless America.
We were at the Museum of Natural Science and walked by this guy that had a gun open carry on his hip. So yeah, that happened at the museum this weekend.
Oh boy. All right. So do you think, is this a temporary state where romantasy and romance literature is very popular? I heard that TikTok, social media this is a breeding ground for suggesting what you read next. There's clubs, there's groups. Do you think it's a temporary thing, or is this here to stay? Is this what women do now to get off?
I think it'll be here to stay because loneliness is such a chronic epidemic at any age. It's not just, gender lines, and it's not just our age or younger ones. It exists everywhere. And so I feel like any kind of escapism, whether it be into books or sports or, like we said, the draft, porn, I think those are just going to increase because social media and all this online, even though it's meant to bring us together, it actually divides us and brings us further apart.
I agree. And I'm so glad you brought this up because the male loneliness epidemic is something that I talk about all the time. I'm not lonely, but I'll tell you this about boring men. Men are absolutely complicit in their own loneliness because they're boring assholes that don't like to leave the house. If they put any fucking effort, I put effort into it, and then lo and behold, so I say this on the fucking show all the time, but I moved to this town like 2-3 years ago. You know what I did? When my kid's playing soccer, I go talk to the fathers, and I'm like, hey, man, I play bar trivia if you want to come out. I throw parties. We have a big Halloween party. We did the hot wing challenge. I invite people over, but it's like pulling fucking teeth. So when guys go, I have no friends, it's because you're a boring asshole. Like you're saying, men are boring. And also they put zero effort into friendship. So I don't want to fucking hear it. Like if you want to spend 8 hours a day on your stupid first person shooter and not read books and have nothing interesting to say and then complain about not having friends and not being able to get laid, go fuck yourself. These people aren't trying, but they want the results that trying brings, So I'm with you with these men. I know you're not going to agree with everything I just said, but I'm totally right.
Well, no, but Eric, let's be honest. Our society has now morphed into like, okay, we work in a box all day, a cubicle or an office. You go through a drive-through and you eat out of a bag. And then you come home and you sit in front of a box and it just feeds you episode after episode, episode. Like you said, when we were growing up, all that stuff didn't exist. Right. You had to wait for your one show to come on once a week. And then after that, it forced you off the couch. It forced you out with your friends. All this convenience is also to our detriment.
I agree, but at the same time, society isn't this amorphous thing. It was created by people. We implemented this on ourselves. It's the, everyone gets a trophy syndrome. Motherfucker, you were giving the kids a trophy and they're going to look at these little assholes with their trophies. Dude, they didn't know. They have no concept that they should get a trophy until you introduce the trophy idea and they get mad at them that they have a trophy. That's what this is. We created this in a box society. We created media online that's accessible at 24 hours a day. So having known this, we need to then do something else to change if we're not happy with it. I'll tell you this. I don't think anybody mined for 16 hours a day and wanted to come home around the fire and drink with their friends and sing songs, but they did. Like that was a more exhausting thing. Like, all right, yeah, I get it. We sit in the box all day. Then go to the bar, shithead, and talk to somebody. Like, don't go to your box in a box of your apartment and then stare at a box. You don't have to do that. And if you do, that's fine if you're happy with it. But all I keep reading is these articles about how sad and lonely we are. Then do something about it. That's my only point.
But that's fundamental. You're asking people to change who they've become. And that's very difficult. It's why we struggle with, losing weight or eating better or all these things that we're trying to be. And there's all these influencers that are like, oh, top 10 ways to better yourself or level up or glow up. There's so much advice out there. But at the end of the day, it takes a lot of effort. And a lot of people don't know how to change who they are. You got to take the deep dive.
I totally agree. It's very annoying that everything is hard, but at the end of this difficulty comes vagina. Sometimes. So like you have to go through, you have to put in a little effort, buddy, or you're never going to get laid and you're never going to have friends. So I know it's hard. That sucks. Believe me. Like tonight's bar trivia. I invited a bunch of guys. They all drop out for various reasons because they're pussies. And I don't know why we use pussy as a pejorative term. I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world. But they just, I can't. I have this. Shut the fuck up and get out. Like I'm not inviting you to go run a 5K. I'm inviting you to a restaurant where we get to drink and prove how smart we are. That's fun, shitheads. And there's probably going to be chicks there that you could talk to if you wanted to. I don't know. I get it.
I get it. You choose your hard, right? There was this saying, like in healthcare, you're either going to pay for your healthcare with preventative medicine, or you're going to pay in surgeries and being sick. Either way, you're going to pay. So either way, you got to pick your hard. It's hard to go out and make friends and meet new people, but it's also hard to sit in a box all by yourself at home being lonely.
Right. And this is why I continue to drink, even though there's a big anti-drinking thing out there. And it's like, well, it's going to knock 10 years off your life. And you're right. But it never knocks off 20 to 30 or 30 to 40. It knocks off, 80 to 90. I don't want those years anyway. So you got to think about choose your hard. I want to die of liver disease at 83. That would be perfect.
That's Eric's goal.
What's that?
That's Eric's goal.
That's my goal. Well, listen, I've aged out of the hot romance author bracket. I can't date you people anymore. So all I have is getting fucked up and hanging out at bars, which isn't terrible.
Well, and also Boston has some amazing pubs.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. You have to go there to get the benefit of it. You can't just stay in your stupid little thing and be a boring. Listen, you know how boring they are. You've tried to start romantic relationships with this species, this men. Oh, disgusting. I do find women to be generally more dynamic than men, I think. But I will blame you people a little bit because, for years I heard what you want is like this quiet, strong, quiet type. Well, you know what strong and quiet is? Fucking nothing to say. Just idiots in a corner. And you kept procreating with them. And that's a little bit of a problem.
Oh, no. My personal taste, no. I have to be the quiet one. I talk so much. I'm already creating so much with, my podcast, or I'm interviewing other authors. So again, I already opened this interview saying, I don't want to hear my opinion again. I want to hear what other people have to say. Oh. That's why I like people. That's why I find them fascinating. That's why I like to write complex, dynamic stories, because I like to explore people. They're like so interesting to me.
I find most people very boring. As a matter of fact, I just wait I don't even listen. I wait for the noise to stop and then I say something interesting.
You're so hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's my strategy. So you're the young guy. He's dynamic fella. He talks about stuff and you can just shut up and be taken advantage of in the bedroom.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of compatibility and chemistry. My child has met him.
I was going to say, do you have children? Because I'm not stalking you, but I did some research and I noticed that you have children that are, grownish. Is that weird?
In high school, yeah. So is it weird that I have high school kids now? No.
Is it weird that your high school kid's going to have a stepfather who's 22?
Exactly, Eric. That's exactly. I mean, did you know that we're getting married later this year? No.
He's coming on the show after this, just so you know.
He will be your next guest. Yeah.
This is a two-parter. Yeah.
No, it was surprising. It was kind of accidental. I always keep my world separate, just because I'm a private person that way. And it was completely coincidental that they met, and they actually talked for about a couple hours. They really hit it off. And when he left, it was just, we had dinner together. That was it. And when he left, she was like, wow, I can see why you guys get along so well. You're really, really compatible. And there's, just an energy between you two. And I was like, yeah, that transcends age, right? Everybody wants connection. Everyone wants acceptance, and everybody wants chemistry.
Did they accidentally meet because they're on the same intramural softball team? I mean, they were going to run into each other.
They went to high school together. That's what it is, Eric. They're just a year apart.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm. They're not.
All right. Well, listen, we're coming up on the hour. So if you want to do me a favor, tell people where they can buy. Listen, once again, I could not do every book, but we have this guy, Sebastian. He's a good looking fellow. We get a darker series. Again, Marco, very attractive. Paulo, he takes chest day seriously. And then my favorite, because I'm a big fan of whiskey, best friend's mom, forbidden love. I don't want that guy banging my mother. Oh, God.
Stifler's mom.
She's, what's scary about her? She's old. I am older than she was in American Pie.
Oh, really?
She's 42. Isn't that? I'm older than Stifler's mom.
Well, there is 2 of those guys in my lineup, because there's 5 Cubs in the Cougars and Cubs series. There's actually going to be 5 guys in the Bikers of Boston. 2 are real.
Oh, wow.
Nice. I know. And they've read their own books, and they think they get a kick out of it. One of them said, if you ever walk a red carpet, I'm walking it with you. I was like, let's go.
Goddamn right. Did you bang those 2 guys? Is that firsthand experience, or are they avatars for men that?
Oh no. Yeah. 2 I've had experience with. So
look at you. Oh, see, that's intimidating. I date you, and then you write about the sex life. Although I guess you wouldn't write about it if it wasn't good.
Oh my gosh, but there's so many authors that, you'll be, I don't know, at the airport, you'll be at a restaurant. There's just some character that comes along, and, maybe they look different, or they speak different, or they have mannerisms that you pick up on. Like, there's so many writers that write based upon real life.
Have you ever written a book about a podcast host?
I could start. He could be in that Candy series where he goes to that destination, has a one-night stand.
Right. Then talks about it on his stupid show.
Yeah.
One more thing. I do want
your name isn't Eric is too common. We need like a sexier version of that.
No, that's fine. Like this guy here. What's his name again? Paulo.
Oh, we can do Enrique.
There you go. Yes.
There
listen, I am lily fucking white. My skin tone is porcelain, but yeah, jazz me up a little. I can't go to a destination wedding. I can't be out in the sun. I'm Irish. I need to be drinking in a dimly lit bar. That's where my
I like to write multicultural and interracial, because that's just really reflective of the times we're in today, which I love.
Yeah. I could not be more opposite of everything that you just said.
And Paolo is Italian, so he has an Italian accent.
Of course he does. And he cooks, he makes his own pasta, obviously.
Obviously, he's an amazing chef. I mean,
no Chef Boyardee or Olive Garden for this guy.
I mean, Italy makes the best cars, people, fashion, you name it. What does Italy create that is terrible?
Okay. I loved Italy. I've been to Italy. I will say that I think we have Italy in 2 areas. Their hard liquor categories trash. They're very good at wine, but they don't drink it. But so they don't have any, they don't have great bourbons, tequilas, rum. They don't fuck with that. The other thing is, I think and this is going to be blasphemous, I will say the one caveat's tiramisu, but I will say in general, I think our dessert, the classic American ice cream, death by chocolate, I think our desserts are better, I think, with the exception of tiramisu, because their cookies are dry, cannolis are dog shit.
No gelato.
Oh, gelato. Yeah, I always fucking forget about gelato. All right, gelato too.
Well, our
Anyway.
desserts are decadent. We're not overweight for no reason.
Goddamn right we're not. There was one other thing I wanted to say is how delusional I am. I think if I was invited to a Cougars, Cubs, and Gays meeting, I think I would win you people over. I think in the end you'd go, he's one of the good ones. I don't like him in general.
It's dinner party, not meeting. But yes, if you're ever in Houston, Enrique, you can come out with us.
I think I'll be universally beloved. They'll all love me. I can tell. You don't think so? I know that you're thinking I'm fucking crazy, but I do think.
I think there would be one of the guys who matches your energy, and I think he would probably hit on you.
Perfect. I got hit on by a gay guy once. It was the best 10 minutes of my life. He was pretending I was funny. He was pretending to be interested in the things I was saying.
Oh, the attention is unmatched.
And chicks get this all the time, which is crazy. I got it once from a dude. That's how, this is where we are. That's how hard it is to be a white man in the United States. Can you imagine? Our only pleasure. Ugh.
Yeah, I think the world cries tears for you, Eric.
I think they should. It's not easy.
Yeah, it sounds really rough.
You won't understand the burden that we have to bear every day.
We obviously cannot understand that.
Well, I know, but I'm going to write a book about it. Can you tell the audience where to get your books and where they can see more of you and watch more of you?
Yes. So my website is kind of the portal to everything, gigimeier.com. And then I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And if you want to join my Cougar Den, I have a readers group that is specifically for those that love reverse age gap. I'm on Substack. And then you can buy my books everywhere. Apple, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. I sell in over 50 countries. So English version, I'll be moving into translations later this year. So, nice. But gigimeier.com is the hub for everything.
Cougars that would be into guys my age have to be about 90. And that book would be very sad because we'd fuck once. I'd break her hip. And the rest of the book is me giving her meds. Do you think that's a sexy book? You think that could you make that work? Okay.
But there is a later in life category on Amazon and Barnes & Noble because, let's be honest, sex trends, it just goes through all ages, right? Everybody wants that. I've heard even in nursing homes, they are having it. And so they do want to read what's reflective of where they're at in life. So yeah.
I hear nursing homes are riddled with syphilis, which just crawling with venereal disease. And God bless them.
I have a girlfriend who is a nurse. And so she works at probably one of the most high-end facilities here in Houston. Yeah. And she came out with us to the Cougars, Cubs, and Gays dinner party. And she happened to mention that. And she said, it is rampant. And I said, hold up. You got to start the story at the very beginning. What is going on? And she said, a lot of times, with the STIs, they're so rampant because there's obviously more females than male. The males get the blue pill. And they were raised in a generation where they didn't use any kind of protection on them. And so when the females all have this breakout, they can determine who the partner is and go to that male and treat him. I thought that was hilarious. I did not expect that to exist in senior care facilities.
I can't wait to go to a senior care facility because think about it, to me, the scariest of the sexually transmitted diseases is human babies. That's what freaks me out. Everything else, but so they can't get pregnant. People are arranging activities. I get to do activities. They're cooking for me. I have to do it fucking snows. They shovel. All you have to do is go to bingo and bang. And that sounds amazing. Every night, everyone's crawling in gonorrhea. Oh, and then in the morning, you get Jell-O.
Okay, but Eric, you said that you drink too much for that. You don't want to live in 80s and 90s. So you're going to have to cut back on the drinking in order to make it into the senior care facility.
I can't go in now. I'm old enough. I'd slay right now. I would.
Oh, you would. You'd clean up, no doubt.
I don't need a pill either. I don't want to brag, but any stiff breeze still does it for me. All right, listen, do me a favor. Stay in the green room for a second so we can debrief. But we're going to log off the official broadcast. I'll be back tomorrow. Good night, America. Go read some porn or just go to Pornhub. Either way, just get off. It's better for you.